camera only. Okay, so this is... I've had a lot of people asking about switches. I keep seeing it. People are building pinball cabinets and asking different switch types. A lot of the kits you'll find online will have HAP style switches like this. This is the screw that goes to hold it in place. So this is actually a button, not a switch. I should misspeak. The switch goes in here. And when you buy the cheap kits off eBay, you're going to get these really horrible red and black switches to go in the buttons. And you can listen to them. I think that should carry through. Yeah, it shows it's carrying. Anyway, you can hear how clicky that is. And it's really kind of disgustingly easy to put these in. I shouldn't say disgustingly easy. It's nice being able to work on them because you can switch out your buttons easily. And here's just a basic clicky switch. And this will let you play games. You put your ground on one of these and it's not important which ones you connect to. There's no polarity to a switch. It's open or closed. So you want to put the ground here? Cool. Want to put the ground here? So these two are normally open. You push the button, they close. This one is normally closed, so you push the button, it opens. So don't use that last one. Just these two switches are all you need. So what pinball machines use is a leaf switch. Itchy nose time. And this is a lot different because it's basically two metal strips, and when you push them together, they close. And you'll have your pinball button, which is going to be right up against there through the wood. And every time that pushes in, it finishes the stroke. So, and you'll see the pinball button. The whole part up here is the same size as a HAP switch. The button shape at the top is the same as a HAP switch. So the buttons themselves are really close to HAP switches, which makes a lot of people go with these things. The problem is these are HAP buttons. I keep calling them switches. I know better. These really cheap switches that come with the kits, I mean, they're cheap. That's really good, and it gets you playing. But they take more force, so your fingers will tire out a little more quickly. And when you begin pressing them, until you hear the click, they're open. And that additional pressure to get past the click, that's probably a millisecond. Not a lot of time. But, you know, and not anything that any human's ever going to notice. Your switches are slightly more immediate when using a leaf switch. As you get better and better switches, they take less and less effort. You can hear the difference. So cheapy switch, slightly less cheap switch, and this was a little more expensive. And you can hear how there's a little less force. I'm going right to the microphone. Anyway, you can hear how the force between the switches, as you get more expensive, they're less clicky. They're easier to push. You're going to cause less finger fatigue for long play periods. And I'm going to end up plugging somebody. Groovy Game Gear makes these, and it's literally a little leaf switch. So you can hear just the tiniest of clicks, but that's really just the spring re-engaging. These, under my fingers, feel indistinguishable from a leaf switch. And these little ones, they just snap right into... Let's see if I can do this, make this look easy, because it is. And they snap right into the HAP button. So anyway, these are what I use. They're easy to wire. I have played with leaf switches, and this is rescued from a old beat up EM, but you can see how there's brackets. I find these take a bit more work to set up. just because you've got to line up the position for the switch as well as the button. But this is the most authentic. You can play this just fine in a virtual cabinet. And then the other type of switch, and this one is most popular in your fighting cabinets, but works fine in a virtual pinball. This is a Sanois button. And the Sanois buttons you will find have 2 sets of connectors in the bottom. Let's get right up there. You can't see it really. I don't have light back there. But anyway, these, you'll hear there's no click at all. They are also leaf switches inside. And they often have LEDs, so you can make light up systems. I don't like these for pinball buttons because the shape is wrong. I've played enough pinball that I do want the concave rather than the convex of the hap. So the haps are going to be hap buttons are going to be convex. And did I get that backwards? Whatever. Anyway, hap more like pinball. Sanois fighting games. You can use these for all sorts of things. Credit buttons. They're nice and quiet. I actually do find a use for the clicky button switches in cheap places, like my reset button, my power button. I want some things to take a little bit more force, and I want a more audible acknowledgement when it's been pressed. So I will use these cheap switches. They have their place. But for pinball, it's either going to be a hap button with a leaf switch or an actual leaf switch. So anyway, that's me talking about switches and buttons, and I'm happy to answer any questions in the future and my